Hey guys, this is Alex Krupski back again with my co-host Jake Hoffman here for episode 2 of the Millennials in Print podcast. We are really excited to have our boss, Il Capo, Steve Sanfelippo, on the show today with us for episode 2.
Yeah, so the great part about Steve being our boss is that he couldn't really say no to this request. So episode 2, no, we're really excited. It'll be a lot of fun. And I think we'll just kind of turn it over to Steve. So, Steve, if you kind of want to talk a little bit about, your career through the industry, where'd you start, and then kind of how you got here.
Oh, absolutely. No, I'd love to. Actually, out of school, I started working for a company called Rand McNally. And they actually used to produce their own books at one time. And I got involved in the printing industry, honestly, because of the recruiting. The people were excited. They were passionate about what they were doing. And the more I learned about the opportunity, thought it was great. And actually started, believe it or not, in estimating. I used to do estimates. And the career path to sales, and I was 23 years old. Most of their salespeople weren't selling until they were in their mid-30s. And when you're that age, you're like, wow, I want a faster path.
Yeah.
So I had an opportunity to work for a company called Miller Color Plate, which did a lot of pre-press work for large companies like Sears at that time, when Sears was doing a lot of work, and got to know a company called Perry Printing. And through that relationship, then I started with Perry Printing and was involved in sales. And what was nice about that, and it was a great learning experience, you did your own estimates. When you had opportunities, we flew all over the country. You came back and you managed it through the entire process. So it was a great, honestly, for a person new to the business, it was a great way to learn. And we, over time then, acquired another company called Judd Stetweiler. Our parent company at the time was, believe it or not, Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel.
No kidding.
At that point, it was called Journal Communications. And they wanted to divest themselves out of the print industry and get involved more in radio and TV acquisitions. So we were acquired by another party, and they grew us significantly through acquisitions, but also organic growth. And I was part of the Perry Judd's management team and got involved in the catalog and retail sales, also involved in publication sales at that time. Exciting thing was I got to fly all over the country, meet a lot of great people, great opportunity to learn. And then in 2007, we were acquired by R. Donnelley, and I stayed with R. Donnelley and was a regional sales VP for their catalog and retail space. And then as time moved on, I got involved in the Western region as well. And,
For the weather. It's good weather over there.
Which I used to spend anywhere from January to April out on the West Coast.
Well played.
He mentioned it really, really subtly there,
Yeah.
with the West Coast and
it was great. Great experience. Obviously, started in the industry with a smaller company. We became about a $350 million company, and then had the opportunity to work with R. Donnelley, which was at the time a global company with over $11 billion in sales. So it was a great opportunity to learn a lot about different business models and a lot of different products and services that you could bring to the marketplace for customers. It was terrific. And then I came to Arandell in April of 2018. And it's been a wonderful experience, and coming up quickly on my 3-year anniversary, and it's been a lot of fun.
In Steve's defense, he didn't know he was going to have to manage both me and Alex. So
it's a lot to handle for sure. Yeah. And actually what we didn't tell you too is this is kind of your anniversary party right here. With COVID protocol still in line. This is the party. We've got a few drinks here. Yeah, cheers to the party.
Cheers, guys.
Well, yeah, I think it's so crazy to hear about kind of that consolidation which has taken place over decades of the print industry and just how big it used to be and still is very big, obviously. But just to hear kind of what has all happened through the years in acquisition. Obviously, we've heard tons of stories about Perry Judd's back in the day. We have a lot of, former Perry Judd's people. I mean, we talk about Perry Judd's in that regard too, as being similar maybe to Arandell from back in the day. What are I guess some of the similarities and differences from all the printers that you've worked at through the years?
No, it's a great question. I would tell you one of the things that Perry Judd's prided themselves on was listening to customers' needs and developing what they looked upon at the time as being tailored solutions to those needs. And we had the benefit of having some really innovative engineers as part of the team. And so at times I used to actually bring out an engineer to sales calls because we were able to take that knowledge back and then develop certain personalization or other modifications to our equipment to fit their specific needs based on the direction we were getting from the people in charge of both their catalog and other marketing efforts. And I think that's what makes Arandell such a great, I'll call it partner and solutions provider today, is that I think we communicate to people that one of our important things that we look at for potential employees is to be a good listener, is to ask questions, to learn about our customers' needs, and come to them with what's not only a tailored quality aligned with their brand and quality experience, but also solutions for their marketing efforts.
Yeah, so Steve, you obviously touched on kind of how over the course of years you've seen, printers change, consolidations, things like that. How have you seen the customers themselves change over that time too?
When we would sit down with customers, their primary focus was the production of the catalog. Yeah. And today, when we sit across the table from customers and interact with customers, we're sitting down with people that have a diversity of different responsibilities. Sure. It includes the catalog, and it's a very vital part of their business, but they're responsible for all the other channels in which they're reaching out to their customers and prospects. And that's what makes it so important for us to be able to bring our knowledge and expertise, and honestly, a great opportunity for us to provide guidance and education so they can focus their attention on all their different responsibilities and not just the catalog segment. And what's exciting is to see people enjoy the positive contribution that the catalog is making to their marketing strategies, and then also know that they can rely on our team to help them continue to manage the program, bring best practices to the table, and continue to grow and succeed in their business.
Yeah, so one of the things that I've definitely experienced too is, and I think I've heard so many stories about, from some people that have been in the industry a long time that are like, this is what the year looks like. And that was it, right? They had here's when we're going to be in home, here's the quantities, here's going to be here's what this year looks like. Right. Now, it's anyone's ball game, right? There's changes, there's last minute changes. How many revisions do you see on just one project? So how has that changed, and how do you think we can position, or how can print companies position themselves better to be able to deal with some of that, shifting and changing?
He's asking the tough ones, Steve. He's asking the really tough ones.
No, that's honestly the agility that we can bring to those relationships is important, because as you pointed out, Jake, customers are always evaluating their strategies, modifying them based on things that they feel will be most effective within a certain time frame. And those days of you mapping out the year's plan, we still ask and request their strategies, but recognize that those are constantly evolving and changing. And I think the ability for our team to demonstrate that needed agility and also make the adjustments and modifications in aligning with what they need is great. So if they come to us with a last-minute request, we're going to be in a position to execute it, come up with solutions. And to me, that's the important thing is you have a challenge, you come back to the table with a different set of solutions that can accomplish what they're looking to do.
Kind of touching on that point, that question that Jake just talked about, I think that there's this wrongful stigma about the print industry in general that is starting to change a little bit, that it was dying, that it wasn't as effective as it was back in its heyday or whatever. I think what's been interesting the last couple years, not even in just the print industry, but just paying attention to outside publications and things, there's been what we keep calling the renaissance of print. It seems like we're re-entering because what we just talked about, these customers are finding out that the catalog actually complements the rest of their marketing strategy really, really well. To me, it almost seems like a perfect creative complement to your social, your digital, your website. You can integrate all of those channels together. I just think that that's been a really interesting thing to see. Do you feel the same way? That's
very much so. The industry has been adapting to the change. It's really interesting because so many people from the outside say, well, print is dying. It's not. It's really reinventing itself. It's evolving. And what that means is before Jake and Alex, you might have mailed 8 million catalogs in a certain cycle. That same customer, or you would be maybe doing 1.5 million copies with targeted content and with a lot more data services that allow you to mail efficiently, but target both your customers and prospects in a way that really maximizes your return on investment. And to me, there's been so many great data solutions now that are provided to our customers that allows them to make a significant investment in print, but one in which they're much more able to understand the value that it brings to their overall marketing strategy. So the industry as a whole, while it might be getting smaller in terms of the platform, the people like Arandell that have a medium-sized solution set, in other words, we can provide that tailored quality and service model and solution to our customers, but we can provide them all the back-end logistics and postal solutions that allow them to mail most efficiently. So smaller quantities can mail at reasonable rates, and you can get the return on investment that people are looking for.
The attribution model has changed and evolved too. I mean, obviously, Jake and Steve, you guys know that very, very well, working in direct mail and working with Jake with all those things. We touched on it a little bit, but I think that there's been, talking about the buyers and how that process has changed, who the decision makers are at the customer level. There's been like a having to speak their language type of thing that's had to happen, right? Like
a translator,
a millennial, and but they're having to wear so many hats, right? Like you kind of talked about, they're working on the social strategy, just the whole marketing strategy together. And then they got to learn print a little bit too when they didn't grow up with that or learn about it in college. I think it's that's part of the world's colliding a little bit, and I feel like maybe why we've seen the renaissance. Do you kind of have any thoughts on that? Like there's been millennials coming into the workplace that have had to learn print, and they're like, wow, this can really be really helpful for our brand.
Yeah, I think it's really been, as people are being introduced to print, to your point, I think they're starting to appreciate the contribution it really makes to the brand. As we've talked about, so many customers are now going direct to consumer, and I think they look at the printed piece as an opportunity to promote the brand, then give that customer and prospect that tactile feel. And so at a time where you can't necessarily go into a store or it's very difficult, you can convey that impression of your products in a very meaningful way. And I think, honestly, if you're like me, and I've talked to other people, they look forward now to what's in their mailbox. They're looking for an opportunity.
There's a lot of people at home, too.
A lot of people at home still,
you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So
absolutely.
That's part of it. And, I think one of the things, too, it's like that digital fatigue. How many Zoom calls, emails, all that stuff. Right. To me, catalog provides a way to get into someone's home, right? And it's kind of breaks through some of that clutter, perhaps.
Yeah.
It's like a subconscious thing, like our friends at Sappy have talked about. There's something with the tactile experience, neuroscience of touch. Yeah, it's different when you can pick it up off of your kitchen counter and peruse through a product catalog or nowadays we're seeing more like brand pieces, lifestyle catalogs. Can we talk about that a little bit? The evolution between what you talked about earlier, the mail order catalog to product focus to now, like you talked about, a lifestyle catalog. I think that evolution has been interesting.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because if you look at design of a lot of catalogs, it was about their number of square inches and how much product they could put on a particular page. And today, while products are featured in a very visually impactful way, it's about you having certain outdoor apparel in a beautiful outdoor setting looking over the mountain. And it's an opportunity for people to say, if I'm going to have that experience and I'm really wanting to do that, this is the apparel and these are the products that I might want to bring with me on those days that I'm out hiking, as an example, right? So to your point is that the catalog provides an experience and I think promotes the values of their products. And if you're interested, if you like what you see, you're going to go to the website and dig in a little bit more deeply.
I think that's an excellent summary.
And that's where attribution comes in.
Yeah.
The
$1 million question.
Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously one of the things that I think we're seeing is sort of the challenge or the struggle. And, there's, to your point, there's a gazillion channels that people are using. Right. So at times I think people get so frustrated they just throw their hands up and are like, well, how do I know it's the catalog? How do I know it's not digital? How do I know it's not the social post? How do I know it's not? And I think the easiest answer is, well, it's probably a combination of all of those things that are going to contribute to the conversion. So how have you seen, I guess what I would kind of like to understand or know is, how have you seen sort of the shift in sales become more of a marketing conversation as opposed to, this is the equipment that we can produce on? Granted, that's still part of it, right? We need to have the right equipment to produce what the end customer needs. But are you seeing it become more of that marketing conversation in your sales efforts?
Absolutely. I think the last several years especially, it's more about understanding what their marketing initiatives are, and then coming to the table with potential solutions for them to consider, recognizing that they're going to be looking at certain substrates, certain formats, page counts, and things of that nature. But we want to understand what role they want that catalog to play as part of their overall marketing strategy in support of their brand experience. Sure. And then I think we're able to come to the table with some really informed ideas that align with that. And I think that has been a trend where, to your point, we would work typically with a person in charge of catalog production. Now we are working with a marketing team that has more, as we talked about earlier, a broader range of responsibilities, and they're looking for support of what expertise and guidance and solutions can you bring to the catalog portion of our overall marketing strategy.
A consultative approach, right? I mean,
Sure.
I think that's something that people are finding value in, right? It's that education component again.
Absolutely. And the thing that I think is great is that we also learn from our customers.
Yeah, that's
and
a great
I think
point.
that's what's really a unique opportunity is as customers are more and more comfortable sharing their objectives and goals, it allows us to be thinking about what are some of the other things we're seeing going on in the marketplace that might be good solutions for them to consider. And to me, it's not about where you start. It's about the process and how you always are striving to improve, because there's nothing more satisfying for the team here than to see a customer grow.
Oh, it's the best.
Right? And to have them be perhaps starting in e-commerce only, see them creep into print, and then work with them to optimize that channel as part of their overall strategy. And that's what we try to communicate back to our team here, the kind of feedback and guidance we're getting from customers as to how their business is doing. Because I think our people feel really great, and they feel a great reward knowing that perhaps they contributed in a meaningful way to that accomplishment.
Yeah, absolutely. One question that I'd like to ask too is, obviously you touched on it kind of earlier on, how you were drawn into the print career was, you had these recruiters that were really excited and they kind of got you fired up, and then you got in the industry, saw this opportunity, took advantage of it over time. What would you say now is sort of, how do you think about getting young people in the industry? Are the same sort of things that were there, meaning like career potential, income potential, upward mobility, do you think that those core things are still exist in the print industry for young people to get into?
I do. I think, as you mentioned earlier, Alex, some of the perceptions of the printing industry are things that you would like people to maybe take a fresh look at, because I do believe that exists. In fact, I think the print industry is a great opportunity for a young person who enjoys working in a very dynamic environment and works and likes understanding that what their contributions are is part of the success of a brand or a group of brands. But definitely is the case. And what's exciting, I think, is there's an awful lot of knowledge and experience in our industry and a lot of really good people that are frankly looking forward to passing some of that on.
Absolutely.
But also are open to new ideas and new ways of doing things, much like you and Jake have brought to our
You're doing a damn podcast, Steve.
which has been great. And to me, that's exciting. It's exciting for both parties. As a young person can make a meaningful contribution, they can help us continue to evolve our business to align with our evolving customers' needs. At the same time, the people that are more experienced, they can contribute, but they learn. And to me, that's what makes a great team, is you bring people of different experiences and backgrounds and knowledge and let them collaborate. And I think then you get the best of all contributors.
Yeah, and that's kind of, I think, contributing to that renaissance, right? It's sort of this great, knowledge-based, traditional mindset that's being combined with sort of these new ideas, and it's really kind of almost like rejuvenated the industry. It feels a little bit, at least from my perspective.
Well, and I think I really like that idea, because to me, there's a renewed energy, and the fact that we are fortunate here to be working with so many great customers and great brands, and they're passionate about their business, and I think they look for passionate partners. And I think that's why when you get the right people involved in those interactions and those relationships, you build off of each other. And I think bringing younger people in with interest would be exciting. And it's something that I'm hoping we can continue to have success with.
Yeah, I think from my perspective, coming in again, just about 2 years ago, I looked at this in talking with you guys as a really cool opportunity to develop more marketing skills, get to know a different industry and things like that. And what I didn't know until shortly after coming in was the client base that printers have, and some, especially, at Arandell, but other printers have. It's some of the most well-recognized brands in the country, some of the biggest brands in the country, and retailers, e-tailers, cutting edge. I mean, I think that was really exciting for a person like me, and I know other people in our generation, is you can drive past, a department store and say, hey, we print their catalog. That's pretty cool, right? At our company. Cool. I think that's an incredibly, really awesome selling point in working in the print industry. And I'll say, too, coming in, I didn't know what to expect, going to different trade shows or coming into the building, anything like that. But especially at trade shows, have been treated with just the utmost respect and courtesy by people of other printers, even competitors. It's really amazing. That doesn't exist in every industry, like we've all talked about before. Steve, if we could circle back for just a quick minute. I know we're kind of wrapping up the show a little bit here.
Sure.
But we kind of talked about us learning from our clients as well, and I think that there's no better way to kind of demonstrate that than the recent Arandell catalog that we all put together in partnership with our agency, CI Design. By the way, if you guys want to request a copy, arandell.com/catalog. You can request it online. But could you talk real quick about that experience for you and being a part of putting together your own catalog and being like one of our customers? I think that was a cool experiment.
Well, honestly, I have to give the credit to the other side of the table here.
Ooh, yeah. Where are they at?
You guys did a terrific job, and I think it was a great way of expressing to the marketplace how we look at ourselves as a partner, and what we thought was our vision for the future, and the role that we'd like to play in contributing to our customers' success. And it was a lot of fun to bring the content together, and it was really supposed to get people really intrigued, provide good information, but get them to smile and enjoy it. And to me, that's part of our efforts to express to people the passion and enthusiasm we have for the industry and our business. And that at a time where you can have some challenging days and things, if you do something you love and you're passionate about, you'll have fun all the time.
I know Jake's got one last question before we wrap up.
Yeah, so I think the question on everyone's mind is, how long has that mustache been in play?
I have to predate you a little bit. For those people here that will be watching the podcast, remember Ronald Reagan's presidency? I'm guilty.
So it's an icon. So.
It's been a while.
Yes.
It's been a while. So we'll see. One of these days, just to shock you guys, I might take it off and see if you recognize me when I walk in the door.
We can have you back on the show. It's like having a new guest.
Well, see, there you go. Exactly. I'd be more than happy to do that.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for coming on. Appreciate it, and thanks, everyone, for watching.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Catch us in the next episode.
Thanks.
Bye.